The tributes are pouring in, and we're so pleased that Dave Pasch has been kind enough to join us today. Of course, Dave, Bill's longtime ESPN college basketball broadcast partner and voice of the Arizona Cardinals, joins us now on the Arizona Sports Line. Dave, thanks so much for the time today. I know it's not the easiest thing for you to do, so we appreciate it.
How are we doing, guys?
Doing good. Obviously, this came as a shock to a lot of people. Did not come to a shock to you. But I guess just high level, what can you say about the life and the impact of Bill Walton and getting to know him all those years?
Well, Bill, there obviously have been a ton of people paying tribute to Bill the person, and that tells you a lot. When you hear Larry Bird or Dr. J or Kareem talk about Bill, none of them are mentioning or focusing on when they played with him or against him in terms of, how great of a basketball player he was. Really, the focus is on the friendships and the uniqueness of Bill and how he made all of us laugh and smile. And, that's Bill. I mean, our last game together was February 1st, and we had dinner after, and it was just the two of us. And usually our producers there are Lori, his wife, or Andy Hill, best friend from college, or, other people are there because Bill would invite anybody. And it's just great. The two of us got a chance to kind of catch up and talk about the future. And that was the last time I saw him. And we also were laughing at that dinner because on the air that night, Bill, in typical fashion, like we're at USC, so George Lucas comes up, and I jokingly asked Bill how the audition for Chewbacca went. And not only does he go there, but he claims that he didn't get the role, but that George Lucas was kind enough to shape and fashion Chewbacca in his image and create the character after Bill. Now, we totally made it up. We're just dying laughing about it. And People Magazine and all these Hollywood reporters start calling and writing stories and finding old George Lucas quotes from the 70s to refute our commentary and claim that, no, George Lucas named Chewbacca after his dog and all this stuff. And Bill and I are just dying laughing like, do people really think we were serious?
That's fantastic.
But that's just how Bill was. He just had fun, and he didn't care about the consequences. He just liked to laugh and smile. And if you laughed at him or with him, then that just made his day.
People say that joy is a great indicator of a real healthy spirituality, and that's kind of what Bill was. And I am really loving some of the text threads you have shared on social media today and some of the interactions, the goofy stuff and the way he would poke and prod at you. And it's the best kind of celebration of a person's life when you sit there after a tragic death, an unfortunate passing, that you can just laugh at the joy that he brought to people and the sport.
Yeah, Dan, I was hesitant at first to share some of that because obviously those are private texts, but it was good for me, healthy for me, but also I think to let people see that, the guy you saw on TV, this is who Bill is. And, texting me during games that I'm calling, including the Cardinal game, if you saw that one, and being like, are you watching this game right now? This is incredible. Just check it out if you're not busy. Hopefully the announcer will reset it for you if you've missed it. And there are so many more of those, along with, again, just random things, but also very kind texts. It wasn't just joking. But I don't know. I think it sheds for people that maybe didn't know Bill, or know a lot about him, because I think there are, people that are not diehard sports fans, or maybe some younger people that don't know a ton about him. Regardless, it just was a way, I think, to let people see a little bit inside the life of Bill, to know that, when he's not on the air and he's just interacting with his friends, he's the same.
Dave Pasch, our guest here on Bickley Marotta Mornings. One of the things that fascinates me about Bill Walton is what he became to a lot of younger sports fans, and that is a very unique color commentator on college basketball that had his own style. And for a lot of those younger fans who may not have known or followed up on it, not to know about the legend of Bill Walton, the player, one of the greatest college players of all time, a dominant big man who had his career ravaged by injuries. That dual personality almost fascinates me the most. But I would love to get from your perspective, a completely fascinating individual. What fascinated you the most about Bill Walton, Dave?
I think how people, Vince, were attracted to him. He just was so kind to everybody, and people, I've never seen anybody sign as many autographs or take as many pictures as Bill did. And he would get asked before the game, during the game, and after the game. And he would always, after the game, he'd always say, after the game, please, we're trying to work here. But not in like a rude way. It was just more fun. But then he would take pictures and sign autographs for an hour. He'd wait, and you'd have all shapes and sizes, age, kids, older people than Bill, Bill's contemporaries, people my age coming up. And I think there was just, he had a way about him. And I mean, the players loved him because he was so funny. And obviously, a lot of the NBA players, knew about the legend as a player, but they just got a kick out of him. And I can't tell you how many times I've had players say things to me. The one that stands out the most was, and this kind of, I think, encapsulates, Bill's humor and how, even if maybe it's not for everybody and you don't love it, you still can chuckle a little bit, even if you would rather watch the game and not hear about the crazy. I remember after the first Pac-12 tournament we did together, so this was 2012, 2013, I'm doing a Warriors game like 3 days later. And first of all, so we did 3 games in 3 days. And first of all, Luke, Bill's son, is an assistant with the Warriors. So I come in to shoot around, and Luke comes over and says, come here, you need a hug. That was the first day. I just thought it was funny. And then I'm doing a sit-down with Steph Curry, and we're kind of getting ready, and Steph looks at me and goes, why didn't you answer Bill's question? And I looked at Steph, and I'm like, what? He goes, you didn't answer Bill's question. I'm like, Steph, what are you talking about? He goes, Bill asked if you've ever been inside a volcano while it's erupting, and you wouldn't answer it. And I just thought it was so funny that, like, he found that funny, and he got a kick. Like, Bill could disarm the greatest players in the world. Like, when he did a couple of crossover games, you do NBA, and the guys would see him, they just would laugh. I remember LeBron almost tripped over himself when he shot a free throw and jogged back down the court backwards, backpedaling, and looked over and saw Dick Vitale and Bill calling the game. I think everybody just got a kick out of Bill because he's authentic and genuine. And even if you disagree, just hilarious.
And it's funny for somebody like you who is just sort of like the peak of professionalism. It must have been, let me ask you this. What was it like to have to deal with when he would just take a conversation or a thread in a basketball game just off into some bizarre direction? Learning to surf inside that must have been quite something to experience.
Well, I remember early on Jim Gray, who was very close with Bill. In fact, I'm not sure if you guys read Bill's book or saw any of the 30 for 30, but when Bill was contemplating suicide many years ago because of his considerable back pain and at one point, could not walk, Jim Gray knew of a doctor that was trying experimental, maybe that's the wrong word, but it was spine surgery that really had not been done on a lot of humans. Mm-hmm. But this doctor basically saved Bill's life, and Jim Gray was a big reason why. And Jim said to me early on, and I've known Jim for a long time, he was like, Bill is going to change your career. And I didn't really know what he meant, but as I look back, going to Syracuse, you're taught, and this is a good thing, you're taught, a very professional manner of how to broadcast a game, and it's traditional. And so we all kind of sound alike if you listen to a lot of the Syracuse guys in terms of their cadence and how they call a game. But I think, I didn't really let my personality out. And I think, first of all, I didn't have a choice with Bill, but it was good. Like, he made me a better broadcaster because I had to think on my feet. I had to react. I had to determine when to stop him, when to play along, when to nudge him, when to go back at him, and he would egg me on. He'd take his headset off during the break and be like, keep coming at me. Don't stop. There's nothing you can say that will offend me. And then he'll say, no matter what I say or what I do, know that I love you, but don't tell anyone. You know, so he brought the best out of me, and you know, I think he wanted me to be authentic on the air, because he was authentic on the air, and that's what he just wanted that from everybody.
Yeah, it's a tremendous loss. I'm sure a tremendous loss to you, a tremendous loss to the world. Dave, thanks so much for coming on today and sharing some memories of Bill. Man. We really appreciate it.
Well, it's an honor and pleasure to talk about Bill. He was a great friend, and I miss him dearly already.
Thank you, Dave. Dave Pasch, ESPN broadcaster, voice of the Arizona Cardinals, our guest here on the Arizona Sports Line, telling some great stories about the legendary Bill Walton, who passed away yesterday at the age of 71.
So one of the stories that Dave passes along on Twitter is that Bill Walton called Dave Pasch Cole, C-O-A-L, because he represented the past, and he called himself Solar because he represented the future. And it's just, this guy would just get on these tangents. Yeah, he's fantastic.
Dave told the Chewbacca story. I went back and I found that clip from the game in February where they actually talked about it on the air. And Dave says at the very end of the clip, "We know, Bill, you appeared in Ghostbusters, but we didn't know about the Star Wars thing." And I went, wait, what? And I looked it up on imdb.com, and Bill Walton actually has an uncredited appearance in Ghostbusters. I'm like, I've seen that movie a million times, and I could never tell when. The very end credits after the Ghostbusters saved the day, you could see this big red-headed guy off in the distance, just kind of smiling with his arms folded. And it's Bill Walton, who was just like watching them film.
Who knew?
Yeah, thanks again to Dave Pasch for sharing some great stories with us.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.